Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Vicente.
And this is Izzy.
And welcome back to the IV podcast. Almost fucked up right there for some reason. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, we are still continuing our Entering the Spider-Verse marathon, which leading up to the Spider-Verse 2 movie. Next week, we're going to review it. Spoiler-free, spoiler review coming next Sunday. But right now, we're going to talk about my all-time favorite Spider-Man movie as of now and my top three superhero movie of all time. And that's Spider-Man 2. Izzy, if you can describe Spider-Man 2 in one word, what would it be?
Amazing.
Oh, mine would be fucking spectacular. No pun intended. This movie changed a lot. It really did. From it humanized the human alter ego of a superhero, something we've never really seen in a superhero movie before.
Yeah. I think the Spider-Man 2 movie is probably one of the most humanized, relatable superhero movies out there.
Oh my god, yeah, because what makes this movie so good is that we get to see Peter Parker, and that's what I love about the comics is that Peter Parker is just like me and her, and just like you, whoever is watching. He pays bills, responsibilities, sometimes he misses stuff, and it's all because of that Parker luck. Every one of us human beings have Parker luck, and that's what this movie describes and feels, and it's amazing because, like I said, it's kind of rare we get a superhero movie where we humanize the human alter ego because people just want explosion, action, fighting, and that's cool. But I want to see the human side to a superhero.
Exactly. We actually have parts of the movie where we can actually relate to Peter Parker, which I think is amazing when it comes to the superhero movies.
Yep. And then with the whole, I know the rent gig is kind of funny and stuff, but for a lot of people, it's kind of reality. I remember back then, I fucked around too much when I was younger, so I relate to that part, trying to make payments and everything. But yeah, I know. Before we get more into that, I just want to give a huge shout out for everyone staying with us for our podcast. We're almost at 500, halfway there to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate you all so much. And yeah, Izzy, anything you want to say?
I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the comments, all the interactions. That means so much to us to be able to just talk to you guys and relate to you guys. It's just amazing how far we've come in these few little months, and we cannot wait to see where it goes.
I know, yeah. It makes me excited. Our watch hours are going up, everything. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about Spider-Man 2. Okay, so Spider-Man 2, the villain is probably... Docock is the best villain in this whole Spider-Man franchise, alongside Green Goblin, of course.
Yeah. He's one of my... Doc Ock, you'll find out, is one of my favorite villains in the Spider-Man universe. So that's why this is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies, along with the new Spider-Man movie too, because he was back in it.
Yeah, the action in this movie is top-notch. It's good, and I would say I prefer this movie over The Dark Knight. I know that might piss off people, but like I said, and I've heard a lot of people say this, do we like The Dark Knight just because of the Joker, or do we like it because of Batman? I mean, ask yourselves that. Let us know in the comments. But Spider-Man 2 is regarded as one of the best sequels ever made to any movie, and it's sometimes regarded as the best Spider-Man movie. Do I believe both of those things? Yeah, I do. I do believe it's the best Spider-Man movie. Granted, I haven't seen Spider-Verse 2 yet, but I've heard that's a really, really great film, and I talked to Izzy about it. Is it going to replace it? Who knows? But as far as one of the best sequels, oh my god, yeah. You take what you got from the original, and you amp it up by 8 more times.
Exactly. And I don't think anything can replace this movie. So I don't think the new Spider-Man will be sort of up there, but it won't replace this.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. If it does, I'll be surprised because I really do love this movie.
Yeah.
With all the action, all the dialogue, and, this movie has aged really well. Granted, I love the first movie, but even some of the dialogue and the writing and pacing in the first movie kind of feels a little cheesy and weird, but it's that early 2000 vibe, where everything's kind of goofy. Whereas with this one, it's holy crap. It holds up. I prefer Spider-Man 2 over a lot of MCU movies.
Yeah, I agree. This movie is such a solid story and a solid watch. There's no way for you not to enjoy it.
Yep. Oh, and fun facts for this movie, Tobey Maguire wasn't going to reprise his role as Spider-Man.
No.
Did you know that?
No, why wouldn't he reprise it?
Okay, so I've heard rumors. Rumor number one was that he wanted a little bit more pay because of the success of the first movie.
Understandable.
Which is fair because he was a damn good Spider-Man. And then Sony was like, okay, no, we'll just replace you. Who do you think his replacement was going to be? He was a villain in a Spider-Man movie.
I don't
And a Tom Holland trilogy.
Tom Holland. Oh, I don't know his name, but I know who you're thinking.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so Jake Gyllenhaal was actually gonna replace Tobey Maguire because people thought they look alike, which I can't really see it.
I can't. I can sort of see it. Maybe if Jake Gyllenhaal was younger, but definitely not now.
I mean, maybe yeah, but and then the second, but then I think that would have taken me out of the movie really, really bad.
Yeah.
Because I would have been used to Toby. And then the second rumor was that he hurt his back filming a movie, and he wasn't gonna be ready on time, and so he kind of pushed like some physical therapy, and
Aww.
that would have sucked. I mean, do I think it would have been as big as it is now? I'm gonna say no.
No, I think people probably would have nitpicked the whole thing and the whole replacement, and so it would take the enjoyment out of the movie. Even if it was the same lines, everybody's other actors were the same, I don't think it would have had the same impact.
No, and the chemistry between Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina, perfect as hell. That mentorship, which we'll talk about in our positives, because Izzy really loves docock. Whereas with me, I love docock, but I prefer Green Goblin. But docock, he's a good villain. Yeah, we talk about Heath Ledger's Joker and Darth Vader, but I feel like Doc Ock really gets left out a lot. And he's good.
He is, and like I want to get into my points why I love him so much, but we'll save that for the later.
Yeah. Before we get into our positive and negatives, Izzy, what would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5.
Oh, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It's that good. Is it perfect? No. But is it a damn good Spider-Man movie? Hell to the yes, it's a good Spider-Man movie. Nothing really rivals it. I mean, yeah, you can say No Way Home, but I still prefer this one because as much as I love No Way Home, this movie still has the edge on humanizing Peter Parker, and that's what I love because we can relate to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And when you can make your hero relatable, no disrespect to Batman or Iron Man, but I can't really relate to them because they're billionaires.
Exactly. You can't understand them on a personal level like we can with Peter Parker in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I love Iron Man and Batman before someone says, "Oh, you're hating." No, I love them. Yeah. I do. I just prefer Spider-Man.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get with our positives. Yeah. So starting with our first positive, the opening scene with Peter Parker. Now, what I mean by the opening scene with just Peter Parker, this movie could have opened up with him stopping a crime or just doing Spider-Man stuff, but no. This movie opens up with him delivering pizzas, and that's what I mean. This movie could have went whole cliche and saw this dude stopping a robbery, but no. We're just introduced to Peter, and to me, that's awesome because, Peter Parker is just like me.
Exactly. And I mean, how many times do you see in a superhero movie where they're just doing everyday things that you and me would do? That's just amazing. You have that relatable that relatable feeling before you see him as a hero.
And it's funny. I mean, yeah, we get a little bit of Spider-Man action, which I do appreciate. He's starting to deliver the pizzas. He's like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to web swing over there. Granted, I still don't know how people don't think he's Spider-Man, especially with him delivering the pizzas because he gets through the back window and stuff like that to the receptionist lady. Yeah, but the fact that we open it with Peter Parker is amazing.
Yeah, when it comes to that, there's a lot of things, especially in this movie specifically, why people don't reason why he's not Peter Parker. But hey, we're just gonna be oblivious to that. And
I'm gonna say it like this: how the Batman is for the Batman, how it was just solely a Batman movie. Mm-hmm. This movie is just as much as a Peter Parker movie than a Spider-Man movie, and that's okay.
Yeah,
because it balances his alter ego and his human side. And when a movie can do that and make me feel emotions because of the hero and the human side, you done a damn good job. And Sam Raimi knew what he was doing with this character.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
All right, and now moving on to our second positive, Parker Luck. Now, what is Parker Luck? For those I don't know, for my comic fans or just hardcore Spider-Man fans like me, this is what Parker Luck is. We all know what it is. Parker Luck is like this. Whenever something good happens to Spider-Man, it's bad for Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. But whenever something good happens to Peter Parker, it's bad for Spider-Man. He saved those kids, in the opening scene for getting hit by a semi-truck, but he didn't deliver the pizzas on time and he got fired from his job.
Yeah.
And then when he tried to... What were some other examples?
I want to say the burning building.
Yeah, we'll talk about the burning building in a bit. And then he's doing his duties as Spider-Man, and he's late for Dr. Connor's class, remember?
Oh, Dr. Connor's and the play.
Yeah, the play. He's late for everything, so that's that Parker Luck. Mm-hmm. Because, he's doing good as Spider-Man, but he's not making enough time for Peter Parker.
Exactly.
And so Peter Parker's social life gets destroyed. And then later on in the film, when he's Spider-Man no more after the dream with Uncle Ben, yeah, everything's good for Peter Parker. He's getting straight A's. He's making MJ's plays. He's having a happy life, a social life. But then where is Spider-Man? Because the crime goes up.
Mm-hmm.
You see someone getting jumped in an alleyway, and Peter just looks the other way. And to me, that shows that you need Peter and Spider-Man. That one can't coexist without the other.
Exactly. I feel like that relates to us too, where sometimes we feel that we say we get a new job, but then our car breaks down. Like, stuff like that happens all the time to everyday people. And it sucks, but it also makes his character so much reliable in that way.
And what I like about the Parker luck, and it applies to real life, no matter how good your choice is or how like goodwill it is, there's always going to be a consequence. You know, let's just say, for example, okay, I went from this job that was close to home, and I'm leaving this job for a higher paying job, but it's 20 minutes away. Yeah, it's better pay, but you're also eating up gas. So I would essentially say Parker luck is like a half empty cup type of luck.
Yeah,
would you
like
say?
half glass, half full.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And when your movie does that, it's perfect. And you do feel bad for Peter. You know, when he's late to MJ's play, MJ doesn't want to see him no more. Oh, and then when MJ falls in love with J. Jonah Jameson's son, what's his name? John?
Yeah, his name is John.
Yeah, when she falls in love with John Jameson, he's heartbroken. Yeah. You know, it's good. It's good for the city. They have Spider-Man, but what about Peter Parker?
Exactly. And I think we'll get more into the whole the whole
dynamic and stuff
and everything, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah, and now moving on to our third positive, the mentorship between Otto Octavius and Peter Parker. Izzy, I know you want to take this one.
So I think the mentorship between them is amazing. So when we first see those two interact, it's before Dr. Octavius gets his arms. And so it's very humanized, they click because they're both scientists and they both work together really well.
They were the original science bros before Bruce Banner and Tony Stark. I'm just going to add that in.
That too. So we get to that. And then eventually Dr. Octavius gets his arms, and what happens is that the reactor reacts, and basically what is it called? The neural chip.
Yeah.
The neural chip breaks, and so then the arms take over, and then he turns evil. Well, what happens is, like, throughout the movie, as it goes on, you can still see the humanized way of Dr. Octavius, even with the arms, which, I mean, I feel like that elevates him so much as a villain, and the relationship between them, because Peter can sometimes get through to him, which just shows how strong their relationship is.
And it's the reason why he had that neural chip was because the arms are like AI in a sort of way, and it prevents them from taking over his brain, which I don't get why you would have that chip. That kind of seems like, because that thing could break hella easily. But, you know, I'm willing to look over it. But yeah, just seeing him bond over science and poetry, and how Otto Octavius tells Peter, love will make you sick, when Peter's talking about MJ, and he gives him poetry to read to her. I just love that mentorship. When you can have your villain and your hero be like, just click just like that before they fight each other, you're doing a damn good job.
Exactly. I think it just elevates their relationship, and it sets up so much for the future, and it's like one of my favorite things about this.
And then the ending, and then the fight scene with them, where Otto Octavius is trapped in the river and stuff, and his arms are malfunctioning, and Peter's trying to reach to him, and Doc Ock almost kills him until Peter says, "You were once a good man. You're once a good man. You're a brilliant scientist. Don't let those things control you." And let me just say this: there's a hidden message between that, and this is what I love about Spider-Man 2, is that this message is all about moving on. It's all about just accepting your responsibilities and balancing your life. So what he means when Doc Ock has him by the throat with his tentacled arms, and he tells him, don't make them who you are. It's going to be a little teary-eyed because it hits close to home. It's basically a metaphor for saying, don't let the bad things in your life, I'm sorry, people, don't let the bad stuff hold you in the past.
Yeah. And I feel like that's such a strong
message. Sorry, guys.
You're good, baby.
Yeah.
It's such a strong message in this movie, and it is one that everybody should take back. Well, at least if you're going to take back something from this movie, take this, understand this.
Yeah, like I said, Sam Raimi does a damn good job with these movies, expressing the messages. Every Spider-Man movie in his trilogy has a message, and I love it. And I can't wait to talk about the third one because I love the messages in that one.
Aw.
Okay, and number 4, the villain arc for Harry Osborn. Harry's bitter, and I don't blame him. His dad died in the first movie, but he thinks Peter Parker did it. Granted, he doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man until like the end of the second act when he finally captures him. But yeah, you slowly see his descent into madness when he hallucinates about his dad.
Yeah, I think having him take over the Green Goblin role is kind of an interesting move. I know it's probably part of the comics. I haven't read the comics. But, I mean, I think it was a really interesting take in this movie. Because then we go back into dynamics, which is the friendship dynamic between Harry and Peter. Like, can you imagine that in the next movie?
Yeah, like, their friendship is so strained right now because Harry knows that Peter takes photos of Spider-Man, of himself. But Peter won't tell him who Spider-Man is. And so there's a scene in this movie to where they're at the some big gathering for John Jameson because he's an astronaut. And Harry's drunk and he starts slapping Peter, telling him, let me know who Spider-Man is. You know, he's like, oh, you're defending him. I thought you were my brother. And he slaps him and you slowly see that descent. And then when Harry realizes that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, the face acting on James Franco is top notch. That's some of the best acting I've ever seen.
Yeah, his face during that scene, it was something he could never believe, and what he does after is just crazy.
Yeah, you know, and it sucks because Spider-Man 3 kind of ruins what could have been a good storyline. But for what it's worth, I do appreciate that they did try to set it up in this movie. And the ending, and then one of the final scenes when he breaks the mirror to the Green Goblin lair, and he sees the Oz formula, everything just set up. You're like, oh, this dude's going to be fucking scary.
Yeah, that seems kind of always interesting me with the whole layer thing and having the extra serum, but we're going to look past that.
Yeah. All right, so number 5 on our positive list, Alfred Molina. Is it Alfred?
Molina.
Alfred Molina, sorry, people. His performance as Doc Ock, holy shit.
Oh my God.
He's good. He knocks it out of the park. You know, yeah, Green Goblin was just a psycho. But with Doc Ock, you feel bad. You sympathize with him because he wanted to do good for the world. He wanted to make a son, you know, but that shit went down and he tried doing it again. He was just mad with power. And it kind of reminds me of Frankenstein in the way. Would you say? I mean,
in a little ways, because he also was dealing with the loss of his wife, and he was trying to create this clean energy for the world. So, and it just humanizes him, and he's trying to be the good person, and then these evil arms take over, and then he's evil, but he still has that human side of him. He's still at the bottom of his heart wants to do.
You know what scene I love with Doc Ock, and it's like perfect Sam Raimi horror.
All right, yeah.
The hospital scene.
Oh my God,
the hospital scene. That's straight out of a fucking Evil Dead movie. When, even though it's not bloody or gory, you still feel the impact of the kills. Like, there's a scene where a nurse is getting dragged and you see her nails come off.
Yeah, it's really, I don't want to say it's body horror because it's not gory, but like, it's intense.
It's basically something that you would see in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You know, and then like there's a doctor getting a chainsaw, Ash Williams reference, and he's trying to cut off the mechanical arm that has a hold of him, and 2 more come out of nowhere, and he just splatter his face, and it's like, even though you don't see the entire shot, you're just like, oh, like you can feel it.
Yeah, and then the scene with Doc Ock and Aunt May on the building.
Oh yeah, Otto Octavius is he's a decent person, but when he's Doc Ock, he's kind of a menace. He's fucked up.
Yeah.
He almost killed Aunt May.
I always wonder how he knew to get Aunt May.
I'm pretty sure it was just a hostage thing. Yeah.
True. But I just think it's funny how she always ends up in the middle of everything.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Out of all the people in fucking New York, let's just get the old lady.
Exactly.
All right, and number 6 on our positive list, it's a well-written movie, and it juggles the storylines perfectly. And I love that. I really do. This movie never drags on, but it never goes too fast. Yeah, we're dealing with the storylines of the public still against Spider-Man, you know, the Parker-Lex storyline, Peter trying to make amends with MJ and Harry, and it balances everything so well.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, I think it does a really good job of balancing the side of Peter Parker's story and Spider-Man's story and touching on all of its points. I mean, I have no notes for this storyline. It is a very good sit down, understand, nothing's rushed, and nothing's too slow either.
Yep, and then even the fight scenes themselves, they're good. They're choreographed to the max. It's perfect. You know, the bank scene, the building scene, and then the train scene, which we'll get into later. Yeah, just this movie. If there's any comic book movie that's perfectly paced, I would say it has to be this one. This one and Dark Knight, of course. Yeah. It never drags on, and you're always like, oh shit, like you're always into the movie.
All right.
And number 7 on our positive list, making the human side of Peter Parker just as special as his Spider-Man alter ego. And like we said, we'd just be repeating ourselves. Yeah. This movie does it so good. I love this movie. Makes me interested in Peter Parker as just as much as Spider-Man. And that's what I feel like a lot of these Spider-Man movies are missing, is just having relatable messages and thoughts with Peter Parker.
Exactly. Like, this movie makes me want to know more about Peter Parker, not just Spider-Man, but also Peter Parker and the struggles he goes through, because of how much I can understand and relate to them rather than I could Spider-Man.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker, and Tom Holland's Peter Parker. I love all 3 of them. They are all unique and perfect in their own way. Yep. But when it comes to Peter Parker, I do prefer Tobey, because that's who I see in the comics. But when it comes to the version of Spider-Man himself, I prefer Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield, of course.
Yeah.
But you can deny that Tobey Maguire is a perfect Peter Parker.
I 100% agree. He would be my ideal Peter Parker, especially when it comes to the nerd, to the personality, and just how quirky. I wouldn't say he's quirky, but nerdy.
Yeah, like quick to his feet and stuff. Yeah.
He's just that normal guy who got bit by a spider.
Yep. And then that scene he has with Aunt May when a little kid is helping Aunt May move to her new apartment.
Oh.
And she tells him that he needs Spider-Man, that the little kid in the city of New York needs Spider-Man. And I think Aunt May knew that Peter was Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think she was ever that dumb.
No.
But it goes to show that Peter needs Spider-Man just as much as New York does. Because without Spider-Man, Peter's nothing. And without Peter, Spider-Man is nothing.
Exactly. You have to have both of them. You have to have a balance.
Yep. And now, moving on to our 8th positive, the train scene. And I don't mean just the fighting, because the fight choreography in that scene between docock and Spider-Man, it's crazy as hell. They're throwing each other, fighting on top of a train. Docock throws him off the train, and he web swings back. And Docock is throwing people. Spider-Man saves him. But what makes this scene so special is that how he stops the train, how he's using everything in his willpower, and his identity gets exposed because some of his mask is burned from the electricity, and he's willing to expose his identity if it means saving the people on that train. And to me, that's the perfect superhero.
Exactly. That just shows how dedicated Peter Parker is to being Spider-Man. No matter how much that he needs to do to save the people, he will do it, no matter if it reveals his identity.
Yeah, and then when you see him, granted, he makes a funny face when he's trying to stop the train, like, it's funny, but when he's done, it shows his willpower, it shows his strength and durability, it shows everything about Spider-Man. And when people say that Spider-Man's kind of a pushover, no, he's not. I always refer to the scene because this dude, when he's not holding back, he can fuck you up.
Yeah.
And then what I love about the scene the most is that when he's about to fall off the train, all the passengers just grab him and they're carrying him. And they respect him enough to not reveal his identity. And that shows that the people in New York need Spider-Man.
Exactly.
What I love about this trilogy is that it's always playing with the idea of the public against Spider-Man. But then it's nice to see that there is a group of people that need Spider-Man in New York.
Exactly. I feel like this scene is like the perfect representation of that, of New York needing Spider-Man and respecting him. No matter what the papers say, they still respect him, they still honor him, and appreciate how much hard work he puts into saving the city.
And I love to see more than what we got in Spider-Man 1, when Green Goblin was going to impale Spider-Man with the glider. And then you see like the civilians on the bridge throwing like junk at Green Goblin. I love that scene, but I feel like the train scene when they're all carrying him is more of a powerful scene. And then you see some people say he's no younger than my kid, blah, blah, blah. And then Peter realizes he doesn't have his mask on, but they all tell him it's okay. And then these 2 little kids come up to him and say, we're not going to reveal your secret. And they hand him the mask. And when Doc Ock comes back to take Peter, all of them stand up for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most sweetest things in this movie. And just to think that the city is putting their lives on this line to save their hero is just, I think, just says so much.
Yep, and that's why I think that Spider-Man 2 is one of the best Spider-Man movies and one of the best superhero movies, because when you have the people of a city willing to protect their hero, you know you're doing a damn good job. And I love that they could have just let Doc Ock take this dude or kill him right then and there. But and yeah, they're probably grateful because Spider-Man saved them. But I also like to think that they're willing to stand up for Spider-Man.
Exactly. They're willing to put their lives on the line because they know that this young adult is putting his life on the line to save all of them.
Mm-hmm. I love that train scene. I just love it. And now moving on to our last positive, the burning building scene. Now, let me just tell you a quote that Tony Stark said to Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker. If you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. And ladies and gentlemen, that burning building scene shows that Peter Parker was always a hero, regardless if he got bit by the spider.
Exactly. I think this burning building is another representation of how much Peter Parker needs Spider-Man and how much Spider-Man needs Peter Parker. Like, it shows how he was always a hero, no matter whether he got bit by the spider or got the suit. He was still going to be a hero no matter what.
And this plays into Parker luck, because look at it like this. Yeah, he saved that little girl from the burning building, but then there was one more person in that building and they died.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was good for Peter saving that little girl. But for Spider-Man, that's bad because someone lost their life. And if he was Spider-Man, then he would have saved them both. He would have had the time. He would have had all his powers. But, but the fact that he jumped in his building knowing that he can die, trying to save this little girl, it says a lot about the character of Peter Parker.
Yeah, it shows how down to earth he is and how he just wants to be a good guy. He just wants to be a hero. And I think just having the ability of Spider-Man just elevates that. It doesn't give it to him. It just elevates what he already has in his heart.
And it's like what Uncle Ben always told Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. And just like I said, just seeing Peter run into that building, I respect him for that, because I don't. Yeah, we can all say, "Oh, I do it," but I guarantee in the heat of the moment, most of us would be scared to go in that building.
Yeah, I know.
Even with the firefighters telling you, "Don't go in," and he almost dies. He does, but there's a scene to where he's grabbing onto the ledge and he throws a little girl over, and he's all like, "If I'm gonna die, I'd rather make a safe way for this girl to just run out the building," and it shows his dedication and his willpower to being Spider-Man, to just being a hero in general. And like I said, Sam Raimi, if somehow you find this video, or anyone I worked on this movie, I doubt it, but you guys did a good job at making Peter Parker just as interesting as Spider-Man.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Peter Parker in this movie will always be someone who you want to be. Because of how he's putting his heart on the line even without his powers, and that just shows how good of a person he is, and that's the person everybody should strive to be, honestly.
Yep, I 100% agree. And that's going to do it for our positives. And our negative list, it's just one negative, but it's more of a nitpick.
Yeah.
I do not really like the use of Mary Jane in this movie. Now, let me explain. In the first movie, I thought she was okay. I thought she was pretty damn good. But in this one, she's just a damsel in distress. And I know that's the character of Mary Jane. But Mary Jane's I'm trying to think of a good word to say, not like a bad word. But like, she jumps from one dude to another. Like, she gets with John Jameson just to get back at Peter. But she doesn't even love John. And she never shows up to the wedding day. It's like, dude, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely had no clue what she wanted. And like, people could argue that, oh, it's Peter's fault for saying that he doesn't love her to protect her. But at the same time, you understand where he's coming from. He's a superhero. He doesn't want her to get hurt. You can understand that. But the way that Mary Jane doesn't understand her feelings, that's where the issue is.
Yeah, it is. And then like it falls into the Parker category where he does something good as Spider-Man. It's bad for Peter Parker.
Yep.
But it's just more than mere fact that she got with that Jameson dude just to get back at Peter, and that's fucked up because you wasted his time. And then she agreed to marrying him and then not showing up for the wedding day. Like, dude, if I was Peter, I would have been like, sorry, dude, you can go away.
Yeah, that's really messed up. Because then Peter's going to be like, what about our wedding day?
Oh, I know, yeah. So, yeah, I really don't like Mary Jane in this movie. Oh, another positive I want to add to this list is the final web scene. Where Peter and MJ are in that web after the whole Doc Ock defeat. So when Peter asked Spider-Man, he's not telling her as Spider-Man, he's telling her as Peter Parker that Spider-Man will always have enemies and that they can't be together. the fact that he's willing to let go of the love of his life shows how much he really does love her. And I love that, and then, she gets rescued by the police and Jameson, but she looks back and she sees Peter just looking back at her, and they don't say anything, but their face acting just says it all, to where Peter's face is saying, I'll always love you and protect you, but we can't be together. And then he finally puts on his mask and swings away as Spider-Man. Not as Peter, but as Spider-Man, because he fully embraces that he is Spider-Man, that he has to protect the city of New York. And that right there is just a chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's an amazing scene, which is like one of the many reasons you should watch this movie. But it shows how dedicated he is to being Spider-Man now that he understands that he needs Spider-Man in his life. And he kind of, going back to Peter and Mary Jane's relationship, he kind of puts the ball in her court, but at the same time, he needs her to understand that he's going to be in danger, and because of that, you may be in danger, and he just wants to save her. And that's
because if his villains found out, she can die.
Exactly.
And he doesn't want that. And so for him to just put aside all of his love, as much as it hurts his heart, it shows that he's a hero and that he's willing to let go of his own needs. He sacrifices his needs to protect the many.
Exactly.
All right, and that's going to do it for our Spider-Man 2 review. Let us know in the comments. Do you love Spider-Man 2? Do you think this is the best one in the trilogy? Do you think it's the best Spider-Man movie or best superhero movie of all time? Like I said, I think it's the best Spider-Man movie, and I'm going to say I think it's the best superhero movie of all time.
Not even in your top 3, it's your first one?
Oh, it's my first one. As much as I love Endgame, Iron Man, Winter Soldier, all those movies and stuff, this really does a good job of making your human alter ego just as interesting as your hero.
Yeah, that is true. I don't blame you for that. I also want to know what your guys' favorite scene in this movie is.
Yeah, and I want to know, if you could change anything about this movie, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you change? I'm curious.
And fun fact, this movie was going to have 3 villains. It was going to have Black Cat, Docock, and the Lizard, which would have been way too much. And I'm glad it stuck to one villain, because we never would have gotten these scenes with Alfred Molina.
Exactly. And we'll talk about the multiple villains next week. So.
All right. And as always, thank you for listening to this Spider-Man 2 review. Take care of others, but most importantly, take care of yourselves. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out, everyone.
Bye, guys.